That's right. We got three of you guys on here.
Welcome to the Winning Podcast, where we help you win. I'm super excited today. First and foremost, I want to say that we have a birthday coming up, right?
Ra.
Okay. All right. For those of you who don't know, on a rainy night, okay, at a very illustrious bar called the Tavern of the Ton, the United States Marine Corps came alive, and the Marine Corps was born 10 November 1775. Right? So shout out to all of the Marines, past and present, that are not with us. And hey, we are drinking apple juice for you. Cheers. Semper Fi.
Cheers.
Do or die.
Semper Fi. All right. Well, we got a lot to unpack. For those of you that are on TikTok, welcome to the show. Appreciate you guys pulling up. We have a lot to unpack today. We're going to be talking about straight VA loan updates. We're going to be talking about the VA construction loan. We're going to be talking about how you should be negotiate, what you can expect after the election going into the new year, and why it is extremely important for you guys to be looking at buying between now and February. Without further ado, can you introduce yourself? Tell them what you do and who you are, brother.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Bernard Gooden. I'm the founder and CEO of Funded VA Home Loans. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I got my
ATS, shouty.
I got my start in the real estate industry. I'm going to give you your flowers too. The same way that a lot of top producers in Southern California who focus on VA home loans got started. Tony and Bruno put me on in the industry, and I've been moving and grooving ever since.
Fantastic. Now, what about your service? You were in the Marine Corps from what year to what year?
So I was in the Marine Corps from 2009 until 2018.
So loan officer, CEO, real estate investor, now owns in Texas as well. We have a lot to unpack. And then Bruno, can you let everybody know who you are and what you do, brother?
Absolutely, man. So definitely not new to the gang here. So I'm down here in Southern California like the rest of the crew. And real estate investor, real estate educator, real estate agent, and just, man, everything real estate, and a major advocate for veterans.
Fantastic. And what years did you serve in the Corps?
So 2003 to 2023. Holy smokes, that sounds crazy. But yeah, I mean, United States Marine Corps from 2003 to 2023. Did 20 years and 6 days to be precise.
And then my friend extraordinaire, Ian the Beard Jensen.
Can you hear that?
Let us know who you are and what you do, brother.
Hey, everybody. Name's Ian Jensen. I am a real estate investor, real estate agent down here in SoCal, VA loan specialist when it comes to investing and purchasing first-time home buyers. We kind of really specialize on getting people from being absolutely either somewhat financially literate or completely financially illiterate to being as most able to purchase and invest as possible, right? And I'm the least salty Marine of this entire crew by a generation or two, right? I was then from 12 to 17, and so measly 5 years compared to you got a lifetime actually between the three of you.
Yeah.
Ian could have been one of my recruits.
Easily.
Yeah.
Probably.
Mine too.
I was in 2012, East Coast though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So guys, for those of you, we have a pretty illustrious stage today. We're going to be unpacking a lot of stuff for those of you that are looking to invest. For those of you that are on TikTok, if you guys want to see us on YouTube live, that way you can hear and see everyone, go to Tony Glenn, TonyGlennii.com. And for those of you that stay on here today, you go in for a treat because we have a special announcement.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We have a free VA Loan Masterclass. It's going to be taking place November 16th.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, from 10 to
10 to 12.
10 to 12:30. Okay, and then also for veterans and non-veterans, we're going to be teaching you guys how you can invest with a veteran utilizing the VA home loan benefits. So let's unpack it today. So I'm Anthony Glenn. I'm your host and co-founder of the Veteran Homeowners Club. I'm a real estate broker, investor out of sunny Southern California. I'm from Georgia. I served in the Marine Corps from 1996 to 2016. We have seven vertically integrated real estate organizations that we assist anyone looking to become an entrepreneur. We don't sell houses, by the way. We help real estate investors invest in real estate. Now, I'm going to start with Ian first. Ian, I have a question for you. Why is it important for people for people to look at buying in this window or look at investing in a piece of real estate between now up until February, from your perspective?
Okay, so outside of this kind of wild political situation that we're into right now, meaning like a changing of the guard from different perspectives, like this window that we're talking about specifically, anywhere from I would say after school starts to the what was it Tony says, the Super Bowl, right? Those are that's like your window to buy is what we always say, is because there's a lot less activity because people are distracted with other things that cost a lot of money, right? So in perspective, like people have kids going to school, right? They're running around getting school shopping done. They're spending money on kids. They're getting sports. They're getting used to the whole environment of getting the kids back to school. And then, it's like homecoming. Then we have Halloween, and there's that whole everything leading up to it, decorating the house, the church trick-or-treaters. And then the next thing we got is, obviously Thanksgiving and Christmas coming in that are very, very distracting to everybody else. And not to mention it, there's a time where people start spending a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you really think about it, there's a ton of holidays in between, going back to school, holidays and kind of cultural events, right? You got, like I said, you have back to school, homecoming, you have, Halloween, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. And then usually like kind of the next kind of cultural environment, right, is like the Super Bowl, right? So everyone's like either distracted or getting ready or doing social events. So the amount of volume that's being like bought and sold over that period of time is slower. So it's a really good chance for you to get in the game and try to negotiate a good offer, because usually time on market's a little bit longer and people that have to move. So it's a good chance for you to get a good leverage on negotiation when you're into it.
That's good. And Bruno, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think that the concept, right, is the biggest thing that I would want people to take away from what they're here today, right? So from what you hear is that time frame is what allows you to get better deals.
Yes.
So and that right there is what I mean about the concept, right? So whenever people are away, that is a time for you to start heading towards something. So we can talk about the time frame, right? Because like Ian said, people are distracted. People are thinking about everything else except the things that really matter, their finances, right? Everyone is so worried about spending. They're not worried about spending their money into the things that are going to grow for them in the long run. They're concerned about buying Badass Johnny, Tonka toy, and all these small things.
$6,000 e-bike.
Exactly. But people don't think about how to leverage the market to where if the competition is less, right, then now you can get a much better deal. So, and that concept even applies to whenever we're talking about interest rates being higher. When the interest rates are high, ooh, I love it.
Oh, I love it too. Yep.
Why? Why do you love that?
Well, one of the main reasons why I love why the interest rates are high is essentially you have less people that are willing to understand that interest rates could be avoided, right, by utilizing a interim principal payment method, right? So, and typically most buyers, I know from a negotiation perspective, if people are going in and buying property, most people are looking at getting a deal with reducing the price. Well, when you have people that investors look at it different, I'm okay with a higher interest rate because I know that there's going to be less people going into the market because the average buyer is more focused on the rates. So they're like, we're going to wait till the rates go down. But all the time, because of scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand, the four economical things that drive prices up, people are losing equity position in their properties. And that leads me to asking you, Bernard, from this perspective, like during this time, why is it important for people to ask for closing cost credits and concessions? What could that be utilized towards?
Well, so let's unpack this all the way down to the lowest common denominator. First, let's go back to what Ian was mentioning about how the market is impacted during this time of the year, right? On the tail end of any real estate market, as a lender, I operate in multiple markets, so I don't only have a viewpoint of one market, right? From Atlanta to the DFW market, over to the San Diego market. During this time of the year, there's less competition. So when there's less competition, it gives you the opportunity to actually negotiate with the seller, right? One key benefit of purchasing right now is that you have that leverage to negotiate closing costs, via concessions in order for the seller to pay all that for you to where you don't have that cost out of pocket. On average, for VA borrowers, we know there's no down payment, but there's still closing costs.
Yes.
So you could potentially
Yep.
go into a home purchase of having nothing out of pocket with maybe the exception of paying your inspection, right? And really good agents will most likely pay that for you regardless, right? So you go into the home purchase process without having any costs out of pocket. And that's only allowed during the markets where negotiation is down. If you wait until the spring market, which normally starts around February, then you get into those multiple offer scenarios to where at that point, you're gonna have to end up paying the $15,000, $20,000 in closing costs out of pocket. When if you just move 2 months ahead of the herd, then you could potentially not have any costs out of pocket. So negotiating closing costs to where you just don't have that expense, that's the major thing. And that comes with having an experienced agent to do that for you and knowing exactly when to actually enter into the market. And it's not when everyone else is entering. Warren Buffett once said, be afraid when everyone is excited and then be ready when everyone is afraid. Right? Because that's going to give you the best opportunities to, win with your offer.
Are you sure it's Warren Buffett that said that?
That sound like
I think I said that.
that did sound
You
like
sure?
Bruno Nascimento.
It was my Bobby side. You told me that, right?
So, guys, for those of you that are on the show, let me tell you, listen, TonyGlennii.com, 2 N's, 2 I's. That's where you can get on the YouTube channel and see us all live and in color. Inside the screen, you won't be able to see that. If you guys have questions, and then also if you're sticking around, you're going to be able to text us and get on our free calendar. Okay, so for those of you that are listening, we want to know where you guys are checking in at. Put your check-in. What state are you guys checking in at? We're in California. Put your rep your city in the chat. Where are you guys checking in at? We are live on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Christian Mingles, baby. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm joking. We're not live on Christian Mingles. But if you guys want to see the entire, I'm about to get these guys in trouble, all right? But the entire show, you will be able to do the replays because we're going to drop some nuggets. So I do have a question. So what should a person plan for? What is the rule of thumb for planning for how much closing costs a person needs to plan for when buying their first property with a VA loan, 100% down? What would you, as a lender, what would you tell that person? How much money do you think that they would need? What percentage of the purchase price do you think they need to plan for?
Well, it's a few variables to that, and it depends upon exactly what state you're closing in and what time of the year, right? So we'll use California as an example, right? So in California, if you close towards the front end of the year, January, February, March, then you most likely need to be prepared to pay about 3% of whatever that purchase price is. If you start closing towards the tail end of the year, you need to be prepared to pay anywhere from 3 to 5, just depending upon the property taxes, right? On the VA loan, we have to impound property taxes. When you start trailing towards the end of the year, around October, November, the county tax assessor requires anywhere from 8 to 10 months of property taxes to be put inside of your escrow account. So that can in turn increase the amount of closing costs that you have, just depending upon when you close. So with that, 3 to 5% is truly dependent upon the purchase price of the property, where it's at, and the time of year that you're closing.
And I have one more follow-on question for you before I pass it to Bruno. What are some of the things that when you have AAUS or Federal Navy or Wavefront Credit Union, right? What is the fundamental difference between them just dropping a low interest rate on you and then looking at that loan estimate? Can you explain sometimes that how they will give show you a lower interest rate, but they won't tell you that you need additional funds to close?
Oh, bait and switch, or the Trojan horse tactic, right? What the large firms understand is that the average consumer doesn't truly understand the concept of closing costs.
Yep, that's true. Yep.
The things that the average consumer understands is they understand interest rate. We all know that because we have auto loans with interest rates. We have credit cards with interest rates. When you hear interest rate, if you tell me a 15% interest rate, we use credit card talk, right? And then you tell me that you give me 11% interest rate, I can easily decipher that the 11% is a better interest rate.
Yes.
But when you're talking about homeownership, when someone tells you that they're going to give you a lower interest rate before you ever even see it, you can almost guarantee if it's something that's 0.5% off what you're hearing on average, or sometimes 1% less, they're going to charge you a lot of discount points. And when you get to, what discount points are for the individuals who don't know, is it's a charge in order to reduce your overall rate, right? But if I'm charging you 10, 15,000 in discount points, and you're not going to be able to recoup that within the payment, especially if you have an opportunity to refinance 6 months to a year after purchasing your home, then it may not be beneficial to pay all those discount points. But that's the smoke and mirrors that they give you. They'll say, hey, I'll give you XYZ rate. You may have shopped around and heard so many other different rates. But then when you finally get that loan estimate, that's the document that you have to have before anything they say is true. The loan estimate, and it needs to be locked, right? It's a little box in the top right corner that says locked. Until you get that, you don't know exactly what it is. And if they started with some promise of an extremely low rate, they're 100% going to charge you an egregious amount of discount points, which will be in that first block on that sheet.
And now that, and for those of you, put a 1 in the chat if you guys could hear us, because we want to make sure you guys are picking this up. And for those of you who want to get on our free VA Loan Masterclass, you're going to text WIN, Whiskey India November, okay, to 760-573-2731. Again, that's WIN to 760-573-2731, and you guys could get on our next VA Masterclass. Now, Bruno, I have a question for you. So what section what section should I be looking at on the loan estimate to find out where those junk fees are located at?
Section Alpha.
Section
See, I got
Alpha.
the easy question.
Yeah. And then tell me, and then also I want you to tell me what are some of the things, so Section A, but what are some of the things that if a person that was interested in investing in real estate today as a veteran, what are some of the things that they could do to prepare themselves for in regard to today's market?
So I think that the first thing that they need to do, right, is after they hear the podcast is reach out to us so that we can connect with them. That's like the very first thing, right? And the reason why I say that above everything else, right, because people are like, oh, well, give me actionable things. Well, the action that I'll give you is connect with us first, because what you need is somebody in your corner to give you the breakdown. Because the problem is that it is a case-by-case thing.
Yes.
So that concept, again, it's all about concepts. People don't understand, right, that whenever you're talking about your situation may not be the same as somebody else's situation. And a lot of times, and we hear this all the time, right? Oh, well, you got what % interest rate? Well, my buddy or my cousin or the one that kills me, right?
Granny is in real estate, and she was in real estate in 1981. And I want to tell you, she told us that right now is the most horrible time to damn buy.
And that right there is the thing that kills me, right? Is like above everything that I hear is when they say, well, you know what? Well, my dad got, and it's like, oh, Lord have mercy. You have no idea when it is that your dad bought the property, what his financial situation was, what the market was like. So the first thing I'll tell you is connect with us so that we can give you a customized plan that will tell you specifically what it is that you have to do, right? Because, and I know that now, right, we have ChatGPT, we have artificial intelligence, and all these things that can walk us through, right? But again, what ChatGPT, as great and as smart as it is, what it doesn't have your profile to look at.
Yep, exactly.
So it can tell you how it is that you can work on credit to improve your FICO, but it won't tell you what you need to do to improve your FICO, because it's not looking at that, right? But if you connect with somebody who, one, understands what it is that they're talking about, two, has that niche, right? So something that they are particularly, familiar with because they're doing it day in and day out, right? And that's the thing that I would say for everybody who's tapping in. Every real estate agent, every lender are not created equal.
That's a fact,
because you have people, so, oh yeah, well, I also handle VA loans. I also know a little bit about VA loans. That's different than somebody who is dealing with it on a daily basis. And and I think that the way to kind of look at it is, if you were getting plastic surgery, right, the qualifications that you look for, it's not just who has an MD at the end of their name.
Yes, that's true.
You go for experience.
Yeah.
You go for
that's only that thing.
Exactly.
You want a nose job, you don't go to the general. Right?
Exactly. You don't go to somebody who does a boob job to work on your nose. Flat out.
If you don't want, I want to tell y'all, if y'all don't want a damn nipple on your nose, don't go to a person.
No
And the reason why I'm saying this, man, is because, listen, you have the people. What's crazy about the real estate industry is that people will listen to everybody else except the professional.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
Cousin Day knows it all.
Cousin Craig, Cousin Day. Stop taking advice from people who are have never done what you're trying to do. Right? I'm going to listen to the people who have done or experienced or been where I'm trying to go, because I have listened to so many people say the market's going to crash. Don't buy real estate. It's going to be horrible. Trump's going to be in office. Kamala's going to be in office, and it's going to be a big market crash. Well, guess what? The people, there's one thing that's for sure. Okay, and then I'm going to pass this question to Ian.
What you got?
Number one, that's a fact, is that supply and demand is always going to drive prices. That you can't deny that, right?
Doesn't matter what the product
We're not going to argue with people with less information than us. Those people we teach. So if you're trying to learn how to invest in real estate and you want passive income, put a 1 in the chat right now, guys, because this is where I'm going to go over, and then we're going to start getting into and deep diving into why it's important to talk to the professionals on getting where you need to go. So, Ian, what are some of the economical things that affect investing in real estate in today's market? And what are the fundamental difference between investing in commercial and residential from your perspective?
Okay, that's a great question. So if I understand what you're saying, we got to figure out what drives prices up or down, and then what's the difference in the perspective of the buyer from buying either commercial or residential. Okay.
Yes.
So economical things that drive prices. All right. It's a variety of different things, right? It could. So if we're talking, for lack of a better term, like globally, meaning like nationwide, it's going to be kind of like how the rates are set by the Fed or how the banking rates. That's usually the first thing that obviously affects the rate, is how cheap the money is, right? If money's really cheap, people are going to try to borrow more, which then raises the price because then, it's easier to afford a higher price. The other thing too is the availability of buyers in that market too. So it's not only just the price of the money; it's the quantity of buyers for the money. If that makes any sense, right? So the interest rate is obviously one of the huge deciding factors of what creates a increase in rate of housing prices increase, right? Or excuse me, increase in price of housing. And so, and then too is obviously, how do I want to say it? Like, is there a return on that investment too, right? So they obviously, because nobody really gives a shit about a house if it didn't make them money, right? So that's the thing that they're going into, is like, is this thing that I'm about to spend my money on going to give me the return? And has there been a history of evidence that's showing that if I do put my money in my own house, I'm going to get more money at the end of it, right? Which is obviously what has been the case for a very long time. And that's obviously a very good thing for the government too. They want to show that if they have money in the housing, then it's a more secure and stable environment for the economic future of the country. However, and then, so there's obviously that, right? There has to be a return that the customer perceives that they're going to receive from the investing into that product. And then also too, there needs to be a demand for that loan product, right? So those two obviously like impact the rate of increase of pricing in housing, right? So, to transition over to what does the buyer look for from residential to commercial, there are two different things, right? So the residential buyer is looking for a vastly different thing than a commercial buyer, right? They want what they want in that case, right? Whereas a commercial buyer, they want a return.
Yes.
They could give a damn if that thing is purple and it is built upside down. As long as that thing puts money in their pocket, that's all they want, and enough money relative to what they have invested into it. Like what sometimes you'll look it up. It's called the capitalization rate. Is usually the first thing that an investor wants to look at. Whereas a residential buyer wants to see what they want in that product, right? The person that wants. Like it's regardless of any product that the person buys, they want to have that product to solve a problem for them, right? Like I don't have a place for my kids to play. They want to go and buy that thing and solve that problem in their life, right? So,
well, you know what? I wanted to do this real quick. Let's do a scenario real quick, okay? So let's do a mathematical form. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want a mathematical formula, so we can actually show you guys the depth of information and seeing who's at this table. Ian, do you have your phone with you?
I do.
Okay, so let's talk about the quick way to back into the capitalization rate, so we can figure out like, okay, straight up. We're gonna look while we're here, guys. When we're teaching these, when we're communicating and we're doing podcasts, we like to put everybody on the spot, so you guys know the depth of information on some of the key factors that affect, let's just say, a multifamily or a single family home, and which direction that you want to go in. Okay, so let's go with the single family home first. Okay, and for those of you who want to get on our free masterclass, okay, 760-573-2731. Again, that number is 760-573-2731. You're going to text the word WIN. We will give you a free consultation of everything that we're going to talk about today. And then also we're going to give you guys the link to this YouTube so you can go back and listen to it. Because right now what we like to do, we like to drop fresh chicken nuggets, fresh out of the grease, so you guys can get out here and win in real estate. Okay, so let's say that you did a single family home, okay? And that single family home was getting you $3,000 a month, okay? So now let's just say that you wanted to increase the rent, and I'm gonna ask Bruno and any of you guys, we'll do popcorn style, whoever wants the answer. What is the fundamental difference of why it is important in regard to transitioning tenants out of the property on single family homes and multifamily? Let's just say that I wanted to raise the rent $100, and then let's just say that tenant wanted to move out. What is the difference between the single family home and the multifamily? The fundamental difference in those two? Like, what's the pros and cons of the single family home tenant not wanting to pay the $100 versus the multifamily person not wanting to pay the $100 of increase in rent?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that when you're talking about multifamily, right, you have other units that are going to be helping you generate that income. So whereas in single family, right, and again, I wholeheartedly support single families because I think it's a great start, and it establishes a great foundation for you to if you have no money, right, the first thing that I would do is go buy a property, because that's what's going to ultimately set you up and give you the capital that you'll need, because it allows you to tap into your own personal bank, right, so you can take money to then go buy multifamily.
What is that called though?
It's equity.
Equity.
Right?
Can you explain what equity is for us?
So I mean, and this is like the most simplest way. So how do you break down equity? Equity is the difference between what you owe on a property and how much that property is worth. Okay, all that in between, that's known as equity, meaning that as you live in the property, as you're making your mortgage payments, what you owe is going to decrease, right? As you purchase property, one of the things that you should be doing is you're looking at how much will the property appreciate, meaning that it's going to go up in value. So you look at that number historically, what does it do, right? And how well does it perform year over year when I look at historical data? So you can plan for it, but you know for sure is that you have your payments and that what you owe will go down over time and that the property will go up in value over time. All that in between, that creates the equity that you're able to tap into and pull the money out for you to go buy the multi-units. So back to your question when you say, well, what's the difference, right? Well, with multi-units, you have multiple families that are living there. So that if I have, right, vacancy in one unit, I can still count on the fact that I have other tenants, right? And if you go about it the strategic way on how it is that you place tenants, right, you should be trying to stagger the tenants so that you don't have everyone starting their lease January 1st
at the same time. Yeah, right? That's because a good one.
As you have vacancies, you can still have income that's coming in from other units. Whereas with the single family, if one person is not there or if a family isn't there, then now you're having to kind of eat that cost.
Now, and then here's an example. We're going to do a math formula for you guys. But before we ask that, what are some of the ways, can you explain, what are some of the ways you can tap into that equity as a veteran? Can you tell us about the cash out refinance and the home equity line of credit and the fundamental differences?
Okay, so cash out refinance, we'll talk about that one first. That's the most simple one to explain. So when you're doing a cash out refinance utilizing your VA home loan, it gives you the opportunity to actually cash out up to 100% loan to value. So what does that mean, right? Let's say, for instance, you purchased a home for, we'll use simple numbers, $100,000, right? Now you've paid that mortgage down to, we'll say, $80,000, right? Now, if you want to do a cash out refinance on VA, this doesn't apply to all loan products. You can do a cash out refinance up to that 100% mark, meaning you only owe $80,000. You can now take out an additional $20,000 and basically restart that loan back up at the $100,000 mark. And you can take that $20,000 and do whatever you want with it. There's no guideline or specific things that you can do with those funds. So you can take the $20,000 and do what Bruno mentioned earlier. Take that cash, purchase another property. If you want to do, you can do debt consolidation if you have some high interest debt that you want to pay off, or you can just take the funds and put it in a rainy day fund. But I always recommend, if you're going to take cash out of your home, make sure you have something that you're going to be putting that cash into that's going to generate revenue.
A vehicle.
You don't just do cash out refinances in order
and go to Las Vegas. He's like, hell yeah, I'm damn turning up in damn Vegas right now. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to put it down on the damn Denver Nuggets.
Exactly. Now, so with the cash out refinance, you completely restart your loan over. So if you have a 2.25% interest rate, when you do that cash out refinance, you're completely redoing that loan to whatever the rates are in that market that you refinance for. So the main difference between a standard cash out refinance and a home equity line of credit is you get to keep your original loan. So back to the same scenario. If it was a $100,000 property, you paid it down to $80,000, and that has a 2.25% interest rate on it, right? I wouldn't recommend touching a 2.25% interest rate, because we'll probably never see those again until Jesus comes, right? So don't touch that. And then you can do what's known as a home equity line of credit. Now, the difference with home equity lines of credit is majority of the time they won't allow you to go up to the 100% mark, right? So you may end up having to go to the 90% loan to value. So back to our example, your loan's $80,000 on your current 2.25, and now you can take out $10,000 on the home equity line of credit, right? Now, here's another benefit with the home equity line of credit, right? You have draw periods on it, right? Depending upon what you structure out with your loan officer, you can have specific draw periods on it to where you can spend, pay it off, and keep spending until your draw period closes, right?
That's a really important thing. Let's explain that a little bit more,
right?
Because that's that's where kind of the home equity. People use the example of credit card with home equity line.
Exactly.
You can keep pulling it if you need to.
Yep, up to a certain point, and then at that point, it's shut off, and then you just have to ensure that you pay it off. But the major difference is with cash out refinance, you restart your loan in its entirety, new interest rate. Home equity line of credit, you keep your current loan at its current interest rate, and then the home equity line of credit is an additional loan.
But then when you're talking about rates, though, right? Like for the home, the cash out, it allows you to be able to lock in
a fixed
rate, right?
Yes.
But then with the HELOC, how does that work out?
So the HELOC it's a variable rate. So they're just. So when you hear the term Fed funds rate, right? We can dive down a rabbit hole on this. So the Fed funds rate is the rate at which banks trade money with each other overnight. So that's what they charge each other when they're talking about their money. And the Fed funds rate directly correlates over to adjustable rates and things like that, similar to the HELOC, as well as credit cards, auto loans, and things like that. But the rate on the HELOC follows the prime rate. So if rates go up, your HELOC rate will be going up based upon wherever it's locked. As rates decrease, your HELOC rate could potentially decrease. Just depends, but it's moving the entirety of the time while you have that HELOC out. Just depending on the terms you put. There's different type of terms, so we won't try to get down to if you got a 3-year, 5-year, or 10-year, right? But it's different terms how that HELOC works, but the rate does adjust and move.
I think the biggest thing that I want you guys to not miss out on, because this is an example, like when you do a cash out refinance, that cash out refinance is a 30-year fixed loan in most cases, or 15 or 30-year fixed loan. Okay. And when you have you do a cash out refinance and you finance it out. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. I want to show you guys how much money, okay, when you guys are doing, the bank makes off of you off of a 6.5%. So right now, if you guys wanted a scenario and give you guys an example, let's do some scenarios and talk about these things, okay? Because I want to show you guys, like, okay, the fundamental difference between a fixed rate is that your payment is going to be reoccurring at that amount, right? The difference between that and a home equity line of credit is a home equity line of credit is a revolving account, and basically based off of how much you borrow, you're going to have two loans, Fixed rate loan with a cash out refinance, you have one loan. Okay. Cash out home equity line of credit, you have two loans. You have your low interest rate loan, and then you also have the home equity line of credit. And based off of the revolving amount okay, I want everybody to put installment in the chat, and I want you to put revolving in the chat. And let me tell you the fundamental difference. A revolving is like a credit card. So your monthly payment is going to be based off of what you owe. An installment is basically you're making installment payments reoccurring until the principal balance, which is a fancy way of what you borrowed, is paid off. But I wanted to go back to this scenario because we owe you guys some math. So let's do some math, right? All right, a little bit of real estate trivia. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys are excited about that. Again, guys, if you guys want to get on our free masterclass, okay, November 16th, okay, 760-573-2731. Again, that number is 760-573-2731. You're going to text the word WIN, W-I-N, to that number, and we'll send you the registration link. It is free. And the reason why we do this free is because, listen, we want to know if you know what it feels like to wake up in the beginning of the month and get a check every single month without having to do a damn thing. That's called passive income, okay? It's nothing like it.
It's what pays my car payment.
Yeah. So when imagine, getting $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $50,000 passively, to where you don't have to exchange your time to go work for somebody, and then they pay you for your work. So when we're talking about the mathematics of everything, we're going to break down, go back to the difference between a single family home, because we owe people a scenario, and a multifamily. And then we're going to give you guys an example of what you would pay in interest payments to the bank on a $450,000 property at 6%. Okay. Now let's go. Let's do this one first. Okay. So we said, I think you said vacancy loss basically is what we're talking about for the single family homes. That means if it's one person in the property and they don't want to pay the rent, you got to move them out. And then you have to have that leadway into getting other people into there. Or another thing for vacancy loss is that if they're not paying the rent and you have to evict them, you're not getting any money. And Bruno highlighted that if you have a multifamily, like a fourplex, that means that you have a unit 2, 3, and 4 that are still giving you reoccurring money when you're evicting that person in room 1. Okay, so let's go calculators right now. Okay, real estate trivia. Okay, I raised the rent $100. Okay, for the $3,000 property, single family home. $100 times 12 is what?
$1,200.
$1,200 of rental income. Okay, that means that if that person decides that they don't want to pay the extra $100 in rent, then they're going to move out. You have vacancy loss. Now let's go lower for a multifamily. Let's go $75 for a fourplex, $3,000 of income, same property, same rental income. But we're going to raise the money per door, not $100. We're going to raise it lower. We're going to raise it $75. So what is $75 times 4? Y'all can use your calculators. Don't be afraid. I don't have my calculator. So $300. Now, let's just say we get that reoccurring for 12 months. Okay, so 300 times 12 is $3,600, right? $4,800. Is it? Yeah. 75 times 4
300
times 12.
Oh.
$3,600. Okay, so me raising the rent less for a multifamily, I'm able to scale a multifamily and revenue generated, even though I have 2 properties getting $3,000. I raised the rent $100 on a single family home. The problem is, what are some of the challenges with the single family home? We can go from you over, and then we'll talk about the multifamily. I want you to do the cons of the single family homes, and then we'll do the pros of the multifamily.
Well, I'll do one with single family homes, occupancy.
Yes.
There's a lot of times where your property can be occupant and you may have to pay that mortgage.
100% vacant.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, one person moves out, now you have to pay that mortgage for it in its entirety until you get someone else.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Bruno?
I mean, maintenance, so and I deal with this often.
Yeah.
So maintenance costs, right? So
why do you tell the audience, why do you deal with this all the time?
Just from from working with multiple property
management company,
you know
by
what
the
I mean?
way.
Like working.
He has a property management company, and the property management company name is.
So we got
Gee whiz, man. I'm trying to throw him a lob, and he's like.
So we deal with a lot of properties and a lot of tenants, right? So with that, maintenance costs, right? So sometimes a lot, people don't factor in how much it's going to cost, right, for you to be able to make those small fixes or repairs. So if you're talking about you increasing the rent by $100, that's really one trade call fee away, right, for the home warranty for that $100 to now go away.
Right.
So
Easy.
that's
That's
one way.
a good one. Yeah. That's actually a really good one. And thank you guys for the love. For those of you that are on TikTok, we appreciate you rocking out with us, guys. You are in the winning podcast, guys. If you guys want to see us live and in color, okay, if you go to TONY, Tony, like Tony the Tiger, Glenn, GLENN, 2 N's, 2 I's, TonyGlennII.com, and go to the YouTube channel, the winning podcast. You will see us live and in color. We can't get y'all all in the frame. We have Bruno Nascimento. We got Bernard here. This is my good friend and loan officer and investor here from Texas. Okay, hence the 10-gallon hat. And then we have Bruno
I like
Nascimento.
the shovel brim too. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
What's a shovel brim?
Flat front.
Right here.
Okay, he said right here. So we're talking about some of the secrets, and if you can see, why would you want to do it? Listen, you can do it by yourself and go and try to do it alone, or you can have someone or a mentor that can lead you through it with our free roadmap. For those of you that are interested, we have some spaces left. Register right now for the free VA loan roadmap. Okay, and we do have the class that's going to be taking place November 16th from 10 to 12:30. For those of you who want to get on there and invest, all you have to do is text 760-573-2731. Again, get your pen. 760-573-2731. You're going to text the word win, and we will send you the YouTube replays to this. And then also we'll give you guys, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to give you, okay, but we'll give you guys a little roadmap to where you guys could utilize to help you learn how to underwrite multifamily. Now, let's go back to.
That roadmap will change your life, by the way.
Yes.
For all you've never really kind of digested any of our content before, or worked with us, that roadmap that we give out for free is life changing.
That's a fact.
I've seen it happen dozens of times. So stay tuned.
Yes. So now I want to go over to Ian. So let's talk about the pros to the multifamily. Okay, we already talked about the vacancy loss. Thank you for bringing that up. And then you also talked about the maintenance costs that you have to carry. What are some of the pros to buying the multifamily scenario?
I like the multifamily just because it's in one spot. You know what I mean? Like so theoretically, say the rent is the same between a multifamily and a single family, right? Say it's $100 per unit. I own a fourplex versus I own a single family, or I own 4 single families. So say we're looking at $100 a unit, $400 a month per asset, right? If I have 4 single families, I gotta have 4 different roofs. I have to have 4 different structures. I have to have 4 different locations to manage, right? If I have a fourplex, that's in one spot. Depending on that trade that I have to call it, that plumber. If he has 4 different faucets to fix, I don't have to pay a plumber to go to 4 different locations, 4 different locations. It's
So you
all
save
in
money
one
there.
spot. Right?
That's a good point.
You
Yeah.
have one roof.
Yeah.
You have one roof. You have one foundation. You have maybe, depending on the system, maybe one boiler or something like that. Like, it's, I like it, and that way you're not running over town. You save that, and then 2, you have one asset that you can take money out of. It's in one spot too. If you're in the market to leverage this investment, you don't have to take out 4 individual loans.
I'm gonna say that on the next podcast, and like I originated it, because that's a good point.
Yeah, you don't have to take out. So say you got $400,000 in the fourplex, but you have $100,000 in 4 different properties. You have more fees involved with extracting the equity in those different properties than you do in that one spot. So the more the merrier. Stack them all in one place if you can. For those are my reasons for it, for sure.
And I think that so one of the things that I wanted to add with the multifamily is this, right? I think that the multifamily just in itself is able to address the two cons that we were just talking about when you're talking about a single family, right? So when you're talking about maintenance costs, right? Like as you mentioned, so if a plumber goes out, right? And I'll go back to the same exact example that I used, right? A trade call fee for the home warranty, right?
Yeah.
If you can place one trade call fee, he'll go out and he'll address multiple units because he's already there, right? Because the home warranty that you got, it's not for the individual units, it's for one structure, right? And then you talk about the vacancy, right? So the vacancy loss, which is what he brought up, like if a single family is vacant, then you're at 100% loss. Well, with a multifamily, if you have one unit that's vacant, you still have other units that are still paying the rent to kind of help with that, right? But what I like that you talked about earlier when we were talking about increasing the rent and the different amounts that you can increase, and this is where I wanted to be able to tie in some of the stuff that we talked about before, right? Is the equity position, right? So my favorite thing about a multifamily is the fact that the appreciation on a multifamily is going to be higher than it would be traditionally for a single family. And the reason why is exactly what you mentioned. So you being able to increase the rent, right, in small increments for multiple units, that number that you gave, right? So instead of you going up, in value, or not up in value, but up as far as the income that you generate, instead of you generating $1,200, right, you're now generating $3,600. So for lenders, for people that are looking at equity, for people that are looking at giving you business loans, right?
Yeah,
now,
that's a really good
now
point.
you're able to look at, a greater income, revenue that's coming in, right? So then now, your borrowing power is greater, right? The ability for you to tap into, right, that equity, again, if you guys follow what we're telling you, reach out to us and attend our VA Loan Masterclass. We're going to show you and tell you exactly what it is that you have to do to be able to buy a multifamily with your VA home loan. Meaning that what you can do, what Bernard was talking about earlier, which is use the cash out and dig 100% out of the equity, right, from that multi-unit through your VA home loan for you to now be able to go and invest in everything else. But again, the equity position is what I think a lot of people sleep on, because right now we're so used to the what's in my hand, what can I see, feel, and touch.
Right. Yeah.
People, it's so easy for people to sleep on equity because you don't touch it, you don't feel it. Like I'm telling you that it's there, but you're not really gonna realize that it's there until you go visit somebody like Bernard, who is like, hey, well, let's look at how much it's worth for me to tell you how much it is that you can pull out.
And let me go to another point too, because I think this is gonna put things in perspective. Can you guys help me, because I don't have my phone? I want to paint a picture for you guys. Can I paint a picture? Put a 1 in the chat if I can paint a picture for you guys. And I'm gonna explain to you guys. We're gonna do a little bit of math, and then they're gonna explain why it's important to have that passive income. Okay, so let's just say that now let's paint this whole picture from beginning to end. If you don't own real estate, there's a couple of things that's going to be true. Number one, you're going to be paying more taxes. Okay?
That's very true.
That's true.
Number two, if you're interdependent on the 401k or your, what's the other one? Social Security, you're going to run out of money.
Can't save.
And number three, people who own businesses, real estate, and nonprofits and charities pay less taxes. Let me prove it to you. Okay, so Bernard, if y'all all can help me, we're gonna be going around. We're just gonna do adding and subtracting. Okay, so let's give this scenario right now. The average American. So Bernard, what is 6 years plus 13?
19 years.
19 years. Okay. So now,
Look, man, don't ask me no crazy math.
no.
I know, right?
I'm a lender. I have to be flawless with my math.
He's gonna be like, he can't add. Look, they got phones, man.
Let me make
Okay,
sure.
so 19. Okay, so the reason why I'm asking is, so that means that, okay, so 5 to 6 years old, you go from K through 12, which is 13 years, right?
Right.
So now you get into college. So now we got 19 years plus 4 years is what?
23.
23 years. So 23 years old, you graduated with your undergrad. Okay.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. And then you got 4 years of grad school, which is what?
300 grand.
27.
27 years old. Okay, so now 27 now. Okay, the average retirement age is 59 and a half years old where you start drawing Social Security. Okay.
Shoot,
So what was that? 20, it was 27, right?
Right.
So what is 59 minus, let's go 60. Let's make it easy for you guys. 60 years old minus 27 years is how much?
33.
33 freaking years of working, okay, to draw Social Security from a person making between $80,000 to $150,000. Now watch this. This is simple math. Anybody can do this. Just follow along. And I have 3 people with calculators. I'm doing this off the top of my head, and that's the reason why I'm asking, because I'm an ASVAB waiver. But one thing I can do is add and subtract. So now I'm at 60 years old, and then the average 401k is between $230,000 to $250,000. So we're gonna go $240,000 to be nice, okay? So $240,000, and I want that money to last me for the next 30 years, okay? So I'm gonna take $240,000 and divide by 30 years. What is that?
8,000.
$8,000. How many years are there? How many months are there in a year?
12.
So that number divide by 12.
It's a bad number.
That's a bad number. I'm gonna say it out loud.
Yeah, it's a bad number.
It's 666.
So
666.
600 and let's go $670. You can pay yourself every month with saving $250,000. The question that I have for you guys, is that enough money for you to sustain your lifestyle? $250,000 saved. Now, I want y'all to Google this stuff, guys. Okay? This is a rude awakening, okay? $670 a month for 30 years is not enough money. And guess how much the average 401k at the max amount of 401k? $1,100. So can y'all do this for me? What is $670 plus $1,100?
$1,770.
$1,770 a month.
It's $5 away from a good number.
Now, let's multiply that number times 12 months. What we got?
21, 24.
So the question that I propose for you guys is that what's your Social Security that you've been investing your entire life? Okay. $21,240 is what you have. If you save $250,000, you never owned a property. Okay. And you're utilizing your Social Security and your 401k to sustain your lifestyle. Is $21,000 a year enough money for you to live off of? And if the answer is no, you're going to have something that's going to print money for you. Period, point blank. Now I'm going to go from Bernard over why the question that I propose to you guys. Why is it important for the longevity of real estate? Why would you buy, from your perspective? Why would you tell people to buy early and keep the property no matter what the market does?
Time is your best friend, regardless. No matter what asset you're purchasing, time is your best friend, as long as you're investing it in a good asset. And real estate is one of those.
100%.
So, you can look at real estate 2 ways. Cash flow, but in my eyes, the one thing that I look for is the equity growth. And the more time you have, the more equity that property is going to gain for you. And, like you say, 401k on average is $240,000 saved. My Fallbrook property has twice that in equity.
Bingo. Bingo. When did you buy that property?
2016.
2016?
November 10th, 2016.
8 years. 8 years.
Yep, 8 years. That
So
property,
wait,
that
hold on,
property
let's
has
put
sat
that in
there.
perspective.
That property has sat there and done nothing.
500
And has
grand
earned roughly about
divided by
$70,000
8.
to $80,000
That's
a year.
62 grand a year. That's a good salary for
Right.
some people, depending on where you live.
That's a perfect example of why we were telling you guys now that is mathematical proof that investing in a piece of real estate is going to yield you more money than the 401k and your Social Security income. Right there, one property is printed $62,000 for him. Okay, year over year.
Yep.
Now let's go to Bruno. Let's give an example. He has a property. I don't know why that property name is what it is, but let's talk about that property that you have. How much additional income do you make off of that property after paying the mortgage?
So I make about $550 per month, right? So that's after me paying the mortgage. I set aside about half of that for operating costs, right? So I make about $200 to $300 every month from just from that property, and that's the cash flow, right? That's the money that comes in after everything is paid for. With me putting money set aside, or me setting money aside for me to factor in the maintenance that I'm going to have to do on the property,
Which is a really smart way to do
all the things that are going to go wrong, and that's where a lot of people don't think past what's directly in front of them, right?
That's a
No, I
critical thing that
I have to extend on that because you guys are missing the point. Now you're saying, okay, $500 is not a lot of money. It is when it's reoccurring, baby.
Damn right.
Okay, so it is when it's reoccurring.
Would you like an extra $500?
Yes. Would you like a check every day without having to do nothing? Okay. Now let's do this. Can y'all help me out? I need a calculator again. Okay. So let me explain what this looks like. Okay. So let's just go $500. Let's do a nice round number, and then you're gonna multiply that times 12.
That's $6,000.
$6,000 per year.
That's a damn good raise.
Who would put a 1 in the chat if you would like a $6,000 raise? Now let's take that number and I want you to multiply that number times 12 and then the percent sign. 6,000 times 12 and then hit the percent sign equals
720.
So that means that if Bruno invested the money that he got from his piece of real estate into the S&P 500, which is approximately anywhere from 8 to 16% year over year, or after the last 12 years, the S&P 500 has been reproducing around 10 to 12%. Can you Google that and fact check me? Okay. So that means that when Bruno get that $6,000, he doesn't need the money, guys. And he invests that money into an asset that produces 12%. He's making $720 a year off of that investment. Real estate is not how much money you can make or save. You're never going to get rich by saving money. You're going to get wealthy by investing the money. What does it say?
On average, since 1957, so almost 50 years, 10%. From 1928 till now, average of 11.66. Last 100 years, 10.6. And the last 100 years adjusted for inflation, 7.4.
Bingo. So what did I say?
12.
So when we're telling you these numbers, if you're looking at what we're talking about, it's not about how much money that he's making off of after paying the mortgage. It's what he does with that money following. Now, let's take this into perspective. Let's just say, Alexis hit the key? I need the key right here. The key on the key right here. Never mind. I got it. Are there any questions on YouTube or anything? Let me do a reset real quick, guys. Welcome to the Winning Podcast, where we help you win. We have Bernard, Ian, and Bruno, and myself. We are rocking on the ones and twos and kicking it like a sensei, teaching you guys how to win in real estate. Today, we're talking about, we talked about the VA loan. We talked about investment strategies. We talked about 401k. We talked about equity. We talked about cash out refinance. We talked about HELOC. What else do you guys need to see to set up a free roadmap, guys? Again, that number is 760-573-2731. Text the word WIN. I'm going to say it again. 760, and if you guys could put that in the chat so you guys can see it, the number is 760-573-2731. We're going to text you the replay to this YouTube channel. And if you guys want to see us live and in color, you could text the word WIN to 760-573-2731. We have an event coming up November 16th, a free VA Loan Masterclass. If you're not a veteran, you can come, guys, because you can invest with a vet. Okay. And then also, let's talk about these numbers real quick. So let's just say that Bruno decided to keep that property, okay, for 10 years. Let's see what that money looks like. Okay, so take 500,000, multiply that number, $500 times 12, which is $6,000. Multiply that number times 10 years.
So that's the return?
60,000.
So that's $60,000 in 10 years that he didn't have to do a damn thing for.
And it's actually going to be more because he's going to raise that rent annually.
Boom. Yeah. That's what I was about to say.
Minimum.
Yeah,
It's
man.
minimum
And again, this is the part where, man, I want to bring this back so people really understand. Remember when I was talking to you about the thing that everybody sleeps on? I said it was what?
Equity.
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 That's the thing where people are, you're missing the point. right? If you're looking at $500 and that is the deciding factor between you deciding whether it's a good investment or not, you're not listening to what it is that we're telling you.
Yes.
Because again, so the $500, that's after that tenant that I have pays my mortgage down.
And you bought land.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about the equity, right? I used the equity that I had in the property for me to take cash and then go buy another property.
And that's the part I think that I want to highlight, right? Mm-hmm. So him being able to take out 125,000.
I just want to take out 100,000.
For him to be able to take out 100,000, it would take you guys a long time to save $100,000.
Right.
It will,
right?
yeah.
It would take you a long time to save $100,000.
It took me 4 years.
Yeah.
It took me 4 years of owning that property for me to take out 100,000. And the 100,000 that I took out, right? I mean, I followed the advice of people like Bernard, who just said, well, a lot of times I wouldn't recommend for someone to take out 100% of the equity that I had. I only took out 100,000. I had 400,000 of equity that I could have taken out.
And you're about to have $400,000 again in equity because of the increase in value of the home.
Right.
Yeah.
So he took the $100,000 out, but the property value has gone up, so the equity replenishes itself. Mm-hmm. Now he had $100,000, and this is I'm gonna pass this to Ian because he likes to say this. The $1 would get you $5 of real estate. Can you explain that?
Yeah. Okay. So this is something that that a lot of people overlook when it comes to asset classes that they invest in, right? So if say let's use $100 as the easy number to play with, right?
Got it.
So if I go and I buy any other asset class, right, stocks, bonds, what they call hard assets like gold or anything like that, you put $100 on the table, you're getting $100 worth of product.
Got it.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
So and then that's it, right? Whatever that grows in value, that's your return, right? It grows to 10%, cool, you got $110, awesome, right? But if I take that $100 and invest it in real estate, this is the only asset class that you can leverage the amount that you have. And by leverage, I mean you get more than what you put in, like a lever, right? So I put $100 on the table with the bank, they give me $500 back. So I can go out and buy something at $500,000 and say I get a 10%, or what I use example, I use a 10% return. I got $50 instead of $10. All right. So I got half of my initial investment of my down payment back in that first year if I got a 5% return or 10% return. So, and not to mention, that's just the appreciation. With real estate, you earn money 3 different ways. You get appreciation, the value of the property going up. You get the cash flow of that property, and you get a tax deduction for that property. So you get paid 3 different times with real estate. So that is why, like we were just talking about earlier, Alexis, one of our marketing guys, we were talking about why I stopped investing in stocks and bonds. Stocks and like equities and stuff like that is because I was like, well, I'm in real estate. I know real estate. I do the most real estate. And if I'm going to spend $10 on real estate, I get more money back than if I bought $10 worth of Google.
And not even only that, if Google goes down, you lose your money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, 100%.
The fundamental thing about real estate, and then I'm gonna come to you, Bruno, for another question, and then I have one for you as well. So the biggest thing that I saw early on, and I started putting more money into real estate, is that if I buy $10,000 worth of Google stock, and Google decides to go out of business, I lose all of my money.
It's a wrap.
Right.
I'm only limited to the amount of money. The con of investing in the stock market is that if the stock market goes down, my money goes down. I can't depreciate my stock either, right? Mm-hmm. So if I have if Google goes, I'm only subject to the amount of money that I have to invest, which requires for me to work and get the money, invest the money in the stock market, and hope that it goes up over time. The fundamental difference between real estate is that it is an asset that everybody needs. People need to live. Everywhere you go, there's real estate, bank, real estate, hospital, real estate, grocery store, real estate. So if I invest in an asset and I know that Uncle Sam is going to give me depreciation, and that's what I want to lead to you next, can you give us an example of the 27.5-year depreciation schedule on a $400,000 property? Can you do that for us? $400,000 property depreciating by 27.5. you're going to get a tax benefit every single year for 27 years for the useful life. And Bruno's going to give you the answer. And the reason why we're throwing these lobs up like this is so you guys could understand. Investing is fundamentally different in real estate than it is any other asset. What you got?
It's 14,545.
So 14
per year.
Per year. That means Uncle Sam is going to give you a 14,000. What was it?
14,400.
14,545 tax incentive for investing in a piece of real estate, because the useful life of a single family home is 27 and a half years. In multifamily, I think it's what?
Residential. Real estate is 27 and a half. Commercial, 5 units or up, is 39 years.
So when you're looking at these scenarios and stuff like that, you get the tax benefit. Bruno just went over depreciation. And then I'm going to ask you a question about the business. Can you explain what the 3 C's are in regard to why it is important to get a piece of real estate and operate it as a business? And then the next question that I have for you, so you can be ready, is based off of the getting the revenue from the property. Okay, if you were a new investor, what advice would you give your first? What advice would you give your first person? How would they get prepared from a mortgage perspective? Like, what advice would you give that first-time home buyer looking to invest in a piece of real estate? That's the question. But go ahead.
Yeah. So the 3 C's that we talk about, right? Credit, collateral, and capital, right? So the credit is essentially, your ability to, if you run it as a business, right, then now you're able to get business credit. So really, what that means is there are ways for you to essentially borrow money, but not put that in your social security number, right? So now when you're talking about debt to income ratio, when you're talking about money that, there is this thing in America that we fear debt, right? So again, debt is great if you know how to use debt, right? If you know how to leverage debt, that's amazing, right? So a lot of people that have a lot of money and have wealth, not too many of them are liquid, right? Because they leverage debt. But what's even better than that is if you're able to acquire debt and to use the debt, but then you don't have it in your name, right? So you have it in your company's, social security equivalent, which is an EIN, an employer identification number, right? So, and then you have collateral. So then the property itself, it serves as collateral. You can borrow against the property. You have things that, you can put the property up and make it a part of deals and negotiations that you're doing for something that's totally unrelated to real estate. You can leverage the actual collateral itself, right, to acquire more assets, right, or to just negotiate business negotiations or really anything else. You can use the property, the collateral, and then the capital, right? Everything that we talked about, at the end of the day, it boils down to the capital and the money that you generate, the income that you generate. And it's creating the ability for you to be able to tap into something and pull something liquid that you can have in your hand, and you can use it and repurpose that money that you have for something else. He was talking about, he doesn't advise for people to go into HELOCs, cash out refinances or anything without having a plan, right? Without you having that roadmap that Ian was talking about, right? So that you know exactly what it is. So then you can factor those things. So you can talk about, Bernard explained it. If I do a cash out, it restarts my loan again. My interest rate is now going to be whatever it is the market is now. And everyone's so scared and afraid of the interest rates. Oh my God. So I lost a 2.25% interest rate, right, for something higher. The example that we were giving earlier, I had a 2.25% interest rate. And I let go of a 2.25% interest rate for a 2.75% interest rate, right? Again, it's not a huge jump, but it's a jump nonetheless. The reason why I only took out $100,000 was because, one, it bumped up my mortgage payment by just $300, right? And the reason why that was something that I thought about was because I looked at what my new mortgage was going to be, and then I looked at the average market rent. So what can I rent the property out for compared to where my mortgage is? I'm accounting for vacancies. I'm accounting for maintenance, right? So at the time, the average rent was about $3,200. So my mortgage went up to $3,000. I still had a $200 buffer there. Now that same property I'm renting out for $3,550, right? And again, so those are the things that whenever you talk about it and you look at it holistically as a business, right? The three C's come into play: credit, collateral, and capital.
And guys, listen.
That's a big
Have
thing.
you seen enough to make a decision, guys? God dang. If you guys are enjoying the conversation, put a 1 in the chat, guys. And we want to know if you guys are enjoying the conversation. You are on the Winning Podcast. Guess what, guys? We're going to be coming to you live and in color every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Bruno, Ian, myself, we're going to be rotating. Okay, so you're going to get Ian, you're going to get Bruno, you're going to get myself, and we're going to be dropping nuggets for you guys just like this. They're going to be leading the podcast. So you're not always going to see us, but on a Winning Podcast, we're going to be interviewing people who invested. Bruno let me tell y'all a story real quick, and this is impromptu, and then I'm going to go to to Bernard. Okay, so Bruno, a friend of mine, the Verdugo family, shout out to the Verdugos. They bought a multifamily. Okay, they bought a single family home at first. I sold them a single family home in Oceanside, California. Right now they have $800,000 of equity in that property. Okay, they said, hey, I want to buy another property. They bought another property that bought a multifamily. The multifamily, they were stressed the hell out because it took us 90 days to get a tenant in there. It took 90 days to get in tenant, but technically it was 60 days because they didn't have to pay the mortgage the first 30 days. Now they have a multifamily with people right outside of Camp Pendleton, right in Fallbrook, California, and they have tenants in there. And they were, hey, Anthony Glenn sold me the crazy house, but guess what we got? We got $90,000 of closing costs credits and concessions. We got solar panels paid completely off. Okay. It's an RV lot. So they have four RV plugs. Four RV plugs.
And that's something you can charge for one day too.
And then it's a multifamily. So it's a 3-unit, right?
Yeah. So it's so you have a main house and then you have an ADU that's attached. And then the ADU has its own kitchen, its own laundry, its own bathroom, its own living space, and that's attached to a 3-bedroom. Right, so you have that, and then you have a lot, and you have everything else. But man, one of the things that I didn't want to miss, man, that I wanted to kind of shout you out for was that it took them longer than they had hoped, right? Because again, it's everyone. You buy something today, and you want it rented tomorrow.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But the one thing, man, that I'll give you some flowers on was that you, again, and this is why, man, if you don't reach out to anybody today, if you don't tap into the VA Loan Masterclass, then what is certain, what we have all, been convinced is like
nothing will change.
You are just not ready, right, to try to reach financial freedom. Like
that's a fact.
It's not a thing for you, and that's okay, right? It's something that it's just not in your cards right now, and that's all right, right? But the thing with them was that when you took them through the purchase process, because you educated them to purchasing as investors, they were conditioned.
Yep. Yes.
Right. So going through the hardship, right? And we'll say hardship super loosely, right? Going through, overcoming the, oh my God, I need something now. No, like they were conditioned, man. Roger, hey, shout out to Roger, man. Hey, cool as ice, right? He was just like, hey, okay, cool. All
Not
right,
Rosa,
so
man. Rosa was cussing me out. I'm calling you out. You was like, I want to tell you that damn Tony Glenn, man, he's a damn crook. Look, now your ass is ready to buy another property. I got a phone call from the other day. We ready for the third one, man. Yeah. We ready. But see, this is the best part about it, right? Like, why are you trying to do it by yourself? But the question that I proposed to what Bruno was saying is that, do you want to be a victim of your do you want your family members, your kids, and everybody else to be a victim of your financial literacy? Mm-hmm. You're going to have to lose something in order to win something. You cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results. You're going to have to lose time. You're going to have to lose friends, because where you're going, if people can't see who you're trying to become, you're always going to be stuck in this rat race. And America's designed to do that. They want you interdependent. I want to be independent to where I can operate, make my own money, do whatever I want to do. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is that you do 5 things. 5 things that you got to have. Put the number 5 in the chat, guys. We're going to give you guys a bonus, and then we're not going to tell you what they are, but I'm going to go to Bruno and Ian to give you the first 3 of the 5 pillars of generational wealth. And this is what you're going to learn okay, and the veteran wealth formula that we have with Grant Cardone, and then also the free VA Loan Masterclass. Put the number 5 in the chat. We're going to tell you guys how to become multimillionaires with these 5 pillars, okay? And then we're going to go to my over here with the money. You can't do anything without the bread, okay? So what are the first 2 things in regard to, in order, how you should structure generational wealth, the first 2 pillars of the 5 pillars of generational wealth?
Okay, so primarily, everyone has the best chance of getting started with real estate.
Bingo.
And then after real estate, once that gets stabilized and you figure out your financial education enough to be able to move and utilize that as a income producing asset, you need some kind of corporate structure set up so that way you can start building business credit, and you have a way of utilizing your expenditures in a way to reduce your taxable income.
So number 1 is going to be real estate. Number 2 is going to be corporate structure. And we can't give y'all all the game, guys. You can't get it all for free, guys. If you guys want to get the information on how to structure everything from setting up your buying the real estate, getting the real estate, setting up your corporate structure, and then from the corporate structure, we're going to do the next 2 pillars of generational wealth, and I'm going to do the last one.
So we have the asset protection, right? We should talk about the trust.
The trust.
And so you got the trust, and then you have life insurance.
So now you have your real estate. Okay, real estate prints the money. The corporate structure is going to lower your taxable income. The life insurance policy is going to create another form of revenue generating opportunity. Okay, and then what was the 4th one?
Trust.
The trust is going to protect the asset and take it out of your name so you cannot get sued, right? So corporate structure and trust are synonymous. They're very important. And the last and final one is going to be contribution and pension plans. You cannot do any of this stuff without these things. The corporation is going to unlock the contribution and pension plans. And if you guys want to know what those contribution and pension plans on how to hire your kids, how to lower your taxable income, how to rent your personal residence out, okay, up to 14 days, all of the tax codes and everything else. Here's the deal. You guys are going to text the word win, not lose, but win, W-I-N, not W-H-E-N for you guys that used to ride the short bus. W-I-N, like winner, W-I-N, Whiskey India November, okay? Win to the number 760-573-2731. We're going to give you the replay. This is what you're going to get from doing that. Number 1, you're going to get the replay to this YouTube, okay? Because we dropped some nuggets today, and you're not going to catch everything. And some of y'all are driving. Some of y'all are at work. Guess what? We're at home drinking non-alcoholic tea, okay? Number 2, you're going to get the link to the free VA Loan Masterclass if you're a veteran or a non-veteran, because guess what? You can, everybody put the word can in the chat, invest with a veteran, and we're going to close out with some of the benefits of investing with a vet. Okay. And then number 3, okay, you're going to get an opportunity to structure those 5 pillars of generational wealth. And we might throw a bonus in there, guys. Okay. We might throw a little bonus in there. So if you guys are enjoying the show, let me do the final reset. Guys, you are in the Winning Real Estate show. Okay. And today you're on the Winning Podcast. Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you enjoyed the show. First and foremost, I appreciate all of you guys for coming on the show today. And we're going to close out to that question that I wanted you to answer. Okay. You remember it, right? I know it's been a minute.
I remember the question, but I want to add something to your 5 pillars of generational wealth.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right. I don't want to change the ditty, right? Because that throws the recruits off. But one of the most important things of actually creating generational wealth is the individuals who decide to create the wealth must ensure that they're educating the people who are going to receive it. So educating your heirs, educating your children, and telling them these things, it isn't something that you can tell them once, right? This has to become a way of life for them as well.
I'm going to give you a clap for that one.
Constantly driving.
Door to the house right there.
Constantly driving it in their head. I mean, there's countless examples of multimillionaires and billionaires whose money was completely gone by the 2nd generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because although the individual, the pathfinder, the visionary who started it all and created the wealth, he passed it down to folks who wasn't completely educated, and they blowed it all. So education of the heirs is extremely important when it comes to generational wealth as well, if you truly want to maintain it and allow it to be generational.
That's good. Can you push okay? But go ahead. Keep going.
So, well, now let's answer your question. So on what what you need to do in order to be prepared to purchase a home, right? So the first thing, and this is outside of anything sales or anything like that. The first thing you need to do before purchasing a home is actually sit down and take a look at your own finances and be 100% truthful to yourself on if you think you're prepared to carry the burden of home ownership, right? Home ownership can be the most cherished asset that you purchase. It can be an asset that can take you to different levels and show you things that you never imagined that you could have. But if you go into it at a bad entry point, you're not truly ready, it may become a burden faster than it becomes a plus.
And that's
right?
real. That's real because most people don't say that.
Right. And that's what you have to do. So one, take a look at yourself. If you're married and you have a spouse, make sure you both sit down and you understand each other's finances together. Don't let me as the lender let you know that you have additional bank accounts that you didn't know about, that your husband maxes out all of his credit cards and you didn't know that, right? Sit down and talk to your spouse about everything. And then from there, here's a ditty for you. CIA, right? Credit, income, assets, right? And then also debt as well. But CIA was a cooler ditty, right? So your credit,
CIA.
your credit is important, right? You want to have your credit scores at a minimum. We're talking about at a minimum, right? You want to be around 640, right? That's a good minimum to set yourself up. Now, with the VA home loan, you can go lower than the 640. You can trail down into the 500s with the VA home loan, but you have to have other compensating factors, i.e., if your credit's kind of bad, you need to have some cash in the bank. You need to have a really strong employment history. You need to have other compensating factors, right? So credit is very important. Income, you need to have a job, right? You need to have a job. It's preferred to have been on the job for 2 years. However, with the VA home loan, it's not a necessary requirement. What you need to show me is that job has an extremely high chance of continuing into the future. That's what I need to see, right? Because in our instance, you may be a Marine and you get out of the Marine Corps and then the following month you got a new job. You just started that. I don't need to see 2 years of you working that job. I need to see that you got that job, you're now full-time, and they don't plan on firing you, right, in order to count that income. The next thing is assets, right? On the VA home loan, there's no minimum asset requirement. However, in most cases, unless you're receiving seller concessions for the seller to pay all your closing costs for you, you need to have enough assets in your account in order to pay your own closing costs. If you do decide a down payment, you need that, and any other expenses that's associated with it. Now, my recommendation to you is to ensure you have at least 6 months saved, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Even as guaranteed as an active duty contract is, there's times where that don't even continue, right? So you want to try to have at least 6 months worth of reserves, just so worst case scenarios happen, you can carry yourself over to your new employment, right? The next thing is debt. Now, I'm not going to say the dude's name and give emotion on this podcast, but there's some people who believe that you should pay off all your debt before you get ready to purchase a home.
Major no.
Right? That's not what you necessarily need to do. I do recommend having your debt at a manageable amount, right, to where it's not going to overburden you, but you want to keep your debt manageable before purchasing a home. So get your credit right, one. Ensure you have income. Ensure you have some assets, some cash on hand. And then also ensure that you have your debt at a nice level. Now, in order to start that, the common route to take is either talk to a realtor or a lender first, right? Talking to a realtor's most likely going to prefer you to a lender that they've worked with before, and they understand that this person is going to take care of you and be able to set you up for success, right? Now, you can also talk to a lender first. It's just up to you on how you want to start your journey. But the whole thing is to get a full snapshot of your overall financial picture, right? And the only person who can get that by law from you is a lender, right? We can run your credit. I want to see everything about you. We do get intrusive now in order to prevent a 2008 from happening. That's why the housing market crashed, because there was a lot of false loans being given out. But we get extremely intrusive. We look at your finances, and then we make a determination on what your buying power is, right? We talk to you about what your monthly payment is going to be, so there's no payment shock once you do go under contract for a home, right? You need to understand what a $300,000 payment looks like, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. So by starting your process with talking to a lender, you'll get pre-approved, you'll know exactly where your finances are, and you'll be prepared to go out house hunting with confidence and knowing that you're not going to hit any unforeseen variables that you didn't plan for through the pre-approval process.
And that's good. And I want to say something, guys. Listen, this is what usually happens. Okay. A person to get pre-qualified, they get that letter from the lender. They go out and they start home shopping. That real estate professional shows them houses at what their pre-qualification is. They write the offer, their offer gets accepted, and then they can't qualify for that property because they didn't take into account the insurance, taxes, homeowners association fees, and everything else. So now you're back at square one, and then they have the potential to lose the property. So we don't care. The reason why it's important to sit down with a lending professional is that they're going to tell you, we don't care who you are. We care who you want to become. And I think that's the fundamental difference between an investor and a person that's an investor, a realtor that is going to help you look for a property as from an investor perspective versus a person that's trying to sell you a home. There's a big, huge difference. And then I want to close out and go down the line. What is the best way to reach you? How can people reach out to you?
Well, you can reach me in my DM. It goes down in the DM, and that's the quickest route to reach me, right? So at Bernard _ MLO. You can also give me a phone call at 760-851-1155, or you can email me at bernard@fundedva.com.
Fantastic. And then Bruno, so closing out with what we talked about, this has been phenomenal. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, put a 1 in the chat, guys. Again, listen, if you knew what it took to invest in real estate, the reason why you don't know all of the information is because if you knew how complicated that it was, you probably wouldn't do it. So real estate is like planting a seed. The seed comes to sprout out of the ground. The sprout comes to leaves. The leaves comes to fruit. Stop being a fruit person and be a root person. You cannot become an investor without planting a seed, which requires pressure. Okay. You cannot have, if you think about it, one seed, you have abundance of fruit that keeps producing. So if you have fear, reservation, doubt, the only way you're going to be able to change this narrative is that you have to be committed to who you're becoming, not who you are and where you are with your finances. So if you got bad credit, it doesn't matter. Okay. Get a roadmap. If you don't have if you don't have the money, get a roadmap. It's okay. If you don't have the money, get a roadmap. It's all good. And then, Bruno, I wanted to go to you. What's the best way to reach you, and what closing remark do you have?
Yeah, man. So for me, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, my handle is going to be @Making Homeowners, and you can reach me there. That's probably the easiest and the fastest way, so you don't get lost, man. But really, what I wanted to say today, right, to kind of close it out, I had to put my Marine Corps hat on,
from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Don't y'all wish y'all had a dope song like ours? We got bars on our Marine hymn.
Yeah, so I had to put my Marine Corps hat on. Just going into this long weekend, man. We have the Marine Corps birthday, and then we have Veterans Day right afterwards, right? And it's on purpose, right? Because the Marine Corps we've been kicking ass for so long, man. They had to recognize the Marine Corps first before they recognize the rest of the veterans, right? But again, hey, don't hate me. You know what I mean? It just is what it is, man. No, but so I think that the fundamental difference between the people that are talking to you, right, who are just telling you things, and the people that actually care. Okay, I fundamentally believe that if you've served our nation, you deserve this. So all the information that we were talking to you about today, you deserve it. Right. You deserve to learn about generational wealth. You deserve to have financial freedom, right? So when Tony was talking about you waking up and then you have that check that's hitting, and you have the money that's coming in, right? The thing that a lot of people overlook or don't consider is the freedom that comes with that. So what is financial freedom? It's your ability to make decisions and live your life without the fear, the stress, and the worry of the bills, of figuring out how it is that you're going to make ends meet, right? When money isn't a factor, when people can talk about money and it doesn't give you anxiety.
Yes.
People can talk about, paying your bills. People can bring up the word debt, and all of a sudden you don't like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. Right. It's to be able to give you that freedom. It's to be able to like free up your mind to be able to enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, enjoy your kids. So if you've served our nation, you deserve this. And it is our mission, right? It is part of the bigger picture of the thing that we are hoping to establish and set up is changing the lives of veterans across the nation, right? That's how Cardone Veterans, stood up. Was that it was Tony, me, Ian, everybody else in the crew, right? That believed in this thing, and then we met with somebody who, their mission was to impact the lives of 8 billion people, right? Who go, people like Grant Cardone and Elena Cardone who realize like, man, there is a gap. Why is it that we have 21 million veterans, right, that aren't millionaires, yet they have, paid the ultimate sacrifice, right? They have, spent time away from family. They have lost limbs, and just everything that comes with it, man. So, again, I urge everybody to just stay connected with us, man. Stay connected with us. Listen to what it is that we have to tell you. You may not be ready, and that's okay. But if you listen long enough, eventually that spark is going to set. And then by then, if you listen to us long enough, you'll be educated, and then we can set you up. But that's my mic drop, man.
Fantastic. Wow. And then Ian, what closing remarks do you have, and what's the best way to reach you?
So closing remarks is the majority of the things we talked about today are available to everyone, right? With that, after the first purchase, this is just regular old, generally scheduled real estate investment, right? What makes it important to the veteran audience, though, is that you can get to that party faster than your average person, because you can get on your foot on that ladder quicker by not having a down payment to buy your first investment. So that's my big takeaway is like veterans, like learn this real estate game because it's the same for everybody, but you can get there faster because you got the fast pass. You got your VA loan, you can get there. All right. So what I mean by that though is that I want you to get in touch with us and let us help you. Like, we are not here for any other reason other than to give our time to help out the veteran community, to make sure that you can have access to the information so that way you can take this as far as you want, right? You want to just buy your house and live in it and have a great time? Cool, right? You want to own 60 billion, units? Cool, let's set it up, right? But if you guys want to reach out to us, we can get you set up. We can do everything we can to help you. You can reach me at Ian_Jensen_realtor, first of my name. So check me out, JensenIan802@gmail if you want to email me. So we're here to help you out. Talk to me or any of these other great men here that we can figure out. All right, we have a great team behind us.
And this is what I want to close out with. It's not about, I want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys for showing up and supporting us, because the likes, the love that you got, I looked at TikTok, I got shut down. I got 945 people who came.
No, it's 9.5.
We had a lot of people on TikTok today. And I'm going to say something different. I don't want to talk to people who don't want to invest.
Check.
I'm keeping it real. If I have to tell you how to get better, our goal as an organization is for people who want change. And that's going to be complicated. It's not going to be easy, okay? But if you want to get where you do not deserve to be where we're at unless you're willing to make the sacrifices that we've made. We've helped billions. We've sold and made over $1 billion in real estate assets completed with our staff, okay? We were the originators of this game, getting veterans to invest in real estate from an investor's perspective, okay? You're talking about hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of brainstorming, sitting in here, refining stuff, starting stuff, and refining the process to where we have that well-oiled machine. Why are you trying to build a Lamborghini by yourself? All you got to do is get in it and drive the shit out of it, okay? We've already built a Lamborghini. Do you want to be in a minivan or do you want to be in a Lamborghini? Okay. And if you want to be in a Lamborghini, you got to be around people who own Lamborghinis. Okay. You're not gonna get if you're worried about $100,000, you have no business getting into what we're doing, because we don't want to worry about the people who are worried about the $100,000. We want people who are stressed out about $100 million. And the only way to get there is going to require sacrifice, period, point blank. So if that's you and you want to be a meat eater, you want to hang out with some people that are, I want to be around people who are going to elevate me. I don't want to be around people who suppress me. And I want to give a special shout out to Alexis and Anthony. They're behind the scenes drinking up all of my tasty beverages, but we appreciate you guys pulling up. Okay, you don't see the behind the scenes, but guess what? I remember, I'm going to tell y'all a story before we close out. I remember when we were on Clubhouse, okay, and we would have rooms with just 6 or 7 people, right? Only 6 or 7 people. Setting up the room, sitting in the office, creating the content, doing all of this stuff. And it's hard to be a leader because it's a thankless job. We believed in our content. We just didn't have enough people. We didn't have enough people who knew us. But guess what? We didn't have the loudest, we didn't have the biggest rooms. We didn't have the most organized rooms. But one thing that we did is we had endurance. And that endurance got us a partnership with Grant and Elena Cardone called Cardone Veterans Group. And guess what? We lost some people. Yeah. And one thing that I'm going to tell you guys is that when you believe in who you're becoming, sometimes the people are not supposed to be with you when you get promoted to the next level. It's just that simple, right? I still have the friends around us that have helped us get here. So guess what? I'm manifesting it right now. We want to make 100 millionaires in the next 2 years. And if that's you, text 760-573-2731. Text WIN. Okay, get in the game so you guys could go with us, because guess what? Everybody can't be at the top. Do you want to be down at the bottom of the Christmas tree, behind the Christmas tree, or do you want to be an ornament at the top? If you look at a Christmas tree, it scales up. I want to be up here, man. Okay, I want to be up here. And again, the question I propose to you guys is that, do you want your kids, your grandmother or grandfather, be a victim of your lack of financial literacy? Do you want them to inherit your procrastination? If the answer is no, text that number so you guys can win. You guys can reach me at 760-573-2731. My name is Anthony Glenn. I am the one of the co-hosts of the Winning Podcast. Special shout out to the other co-hosts, Ian and Bruno, and our special guest, Bernard Gooden, my friend. Okay, we appreciate you guys for pulling up, and we'll see you on the show next time. Peace.
Hurrah!